A few people have asked for a tank tour. They wanted to know how many fish I had in here. They want to know how I built it. They want to know about the equipment I had for it. So I figured, let's jump in and do a tank tour. When somebody asks you to show them your fish tank, don't get all excited. I'll show you all about the equipment I use and how I run the tank. Some cool features it has. It has speakers and plays music and some really cool lighting effects. I got a few guppies, I guess you could say, mixed with endlers, and I have autocinklus, is red cherry shrimp. There's neon tetras, some neorite snails, Malaysian trumpet snails, and for plants, that's a beautiful bucephalandra. And I have all sorts of hair grass and moss on the trees. The hardscape is dragonstone, and the trees are little bonsai trees. I have two different sizes here, these mediums and some smalls in the back. And I assembled this whole hardscape myself. I did a lot of research when I was building this tank to build the best aquascaping tank that I could on my budget. A few things that I did when I first started building this tank was I put a lighting diffuser along the bottom of the tank. It fits right in the bottom depth here, so you would never see it. And what it does is distributes the load across the bottom of the tank and protects it if you were to drop something, within reason, of course. I wanted a big rise in the back of the tank to give it depth. And one thing you can do is you can get yourself a laundry bag and you could fill that with lava stone. That laundry bag will keep the lava stone contained and stop it from moving around. Personally, I did like the look of the Eco Complete better than the round balls of the UNS in most aqua soils, but I had so many problems with plants really rooting well in that soil and it not being able to attract and hold fertilizers in them as well. The UNS aqua soil is really better for the roots, so capped over the years with that. For filtration, I went with Awaze Biomaster 250 thermal. This unit has the heater built in to it, so I didn't have to run a heater in a tank. That was a big attraction to me. It's also a very high quality filter. It has 4 stages of filtration and a pre-filter sponge that can be cleaned separately. It is a really good unit, nice and quiet, and has some pretty good flow numbers. After the filter runs out to a UV light, the UV light is a 7-watt Awaze system, which I really like this unit because of the size that it has for the flow area. The wattage is only 7, which is because you don't need more wattage, you need more contact time and contact area. So with this one in a big area, it was a lot less of a flow restriction too, so it was a benefit in that, not being such a small UV filtration unit. And outflow pipes are handled by glass lily pipes with a surface skimmer. I found them on Amazon. Yes, they do need to be cleaned, and this may be an argument why a stainless steel pipe may be the right one for you, because you would never see that inside there. But they're relatively easy to clean. Use a long tube brush, but I'll put a link in the description below so that you can find these. I found great pipe and they were really cheap. Large sponge filter to the glass intake pipe in order to protect my shrimp and my fry, so I don't have to worry about that little guy getting sucked in there. I do inject CO2. I have an extra large bottle that my girlfriend made this cover for, so it's not so ugly. I use an Aquarium co-op regulator. I don't use the bubble counter because I use a pH controller. This regulator has been discontinued, but it runs from the regulator up and across to a stainless steel check valve down to my diffuser. When I was first setting it up, I did set it for 4 bubbles per second, but now I run the pH controller, and there's your probe. I have the controller mounted down here, and we're in the evening now, so it's going back up, but I hold about 6.6 pH, and then I back that up with a drop checker to make sure, because probes do wear over time and you do have to calibrate them, so you do want to back this up. But basically, when the pH drops below 6.6, it turns off, and then the timer that it's plugged into only allows it to run an hour before the lights come on, and then shuts off with the lights. I'm currently working on a reactor setup to completely eliminate the diffuser from the tank and get the probe out of the tank. No, I'm not using the copper fittings, just for basic mock-up. For lighting, I went with the Current USA Serene LED with the background lighting kit. This was a game changer for me. This made this more than a fish tank. This makes this therapy. I can lose hours working on it or just watching it. The light comes with speakers and 4 pre-programmed music tracks. It has a few different lighting options like a sunrise, a partly cloudy, a daylight, and a lightning storm, which is my personal favorite. I'm not going to go too in depth here with this light because I'm going to make a video about this light and all of its functions and how it really changed my opinion of this fish tank. So hit that like and subscribe button so you'll know when I release that video. An Aquarium Co-op sponge filter, the easy flow type, so it keeps going. Where I live, we're really subject to a lot of power outages, and because of that, at the same time, I run their battery backup air pump. So when we do have an outage, I don't have to worry that I'm not going to have flow. It'll keep it a high oxygenated environment and really just gives me that peace of mind. One advantage of running a sponge filter is if you happen to trip and fall and accidentally buy a fish tank, you'll have a seated sponge filter ready to go so you can instantly cycle your new tank.
I don't think so.
For fertilization on this tank, I use Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op and Flourish root tabs from Seachem. I fertilize on my own schedule. The recommendation on the bottle is a good starting point to go there, but you need to test and figure out how the fertilizer affects your tank. If you'd like me to make a video on how to fertilize a tank, let me know in the comments below. This tank didn't always look like this. I did a major redesign about a year ago. A few things that I changed when I did the redesign in this tank were I brought some big objects to the front of the tank. This really gives you a good perception of depth, and it's easier to place small objects in the back, making the tank look much deeper. If a very big slope of substrate, the back is built up very high. This will also help that depth perspective. Use size perspective where more details in the front and more bigger objects in the back will give you a sense of depth. I hope these few tips really helped you build your dream tank so you can make it exactly what you want. When I set up this tank, my plants were struggling. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I did everything right. Find out what was wrong and what I did about it here.